Hi, thank you all for having me today. Okay, you know that running joke that we all have about getting older, how we could be in bed by 7 p.m. and still wake up the next morning and feel exhausted? Or how when we sit down for just a second, suddenly when we stand back up, everything hurts? Or our idea of a wild Friday night is the fact that our friends kept us out past 10 p.m. We laugh about it because it's so universal. We think it's just part of the aging process and that there's nothing that we can really do about it. But what if that's not actually true? What if aging didn't have to suck? What if a huge part of how we feel right now, the fatigue, low libido, lack of drive, achy joints, has less to do with age and more to do with something that we can measure and treat, like our hormones? So today we're going to talk about how hormones might be the missing link between feeling old and feeling like yourself again. So when should we start checking hormones? We like to think of our hormones in our 20s as like the glory years, right? We have boundless energy, we recover quickly, and our hormones are firing on all cylinders. Life is good. And then we hit 30, and things start to decline. And for men, testosterone is going to drop about 1% per year, and their free testosterone is going to drop 1.5 to 2%, which doesn't sound like a lot until you start to add it up. And for women, we're not just losing testosterone, we're losing estradiol, progesterone. And at first, it's not too bad. And then we hit our late 30s, early 40s, and boom, it hits the fan. And we feel crazy. And we're asking ourselves, what is the matter with me? Welcome to perimenopause, because your hormones have just decided to leave the chat unexpectedly. So if you're sitting here looking at this list of common symptoms and thinking, yeah, I've got a few of those, probably past due for you to check your hormones. What does that actually mean? What does it mean when I say, let's check our hormones? And what hormones are we going to check? First, we're going to get a full panel of standard labs. We want to rule out any other conditions that may be contributing factors. For men, the diagnostic criteria for hypogonadism requires 2 separate lab draws before 10 a.m., where your total testosterone comes back below 300 nanograms per deciliter. Okay? At 10 o'clock in the morning, if that's your highest, where are you by 5 p.m.? You're feeling like garbage, okay? And if young men, 18, 19, 20 years old, their testosterone can get up to 1,200, why do we have to wait until men lose 50 to 75% of their testosterone before we start treating? To me, I don't feel like that's fair. I feel like that's mean. And for women, we don't even have a target number, okay? We're out here. It's a combination of age, menstrual cycle changes, symptoms, and they basically hit us with the medical version of, so how does that make you feel, okay? Why? Number one, women's hormones are severely understudied. 2, the one Women's Health Initiative study that they did on the wrong age group, okay? And 3, unfortunately for us, our menstrual cycles, we're fluctuating with our hormones throughout the entire month. And then we have the life cycle as well. Pregnancy, postpartum, perimenopause, menopause. So it makes things very complicated. There's only 1 week during the month that you can see the either balance or imbalance between estradiol and progesterone, and that's in our luteal phase. So timing of labs is extremely important for women as well. And we need to see that balance or imbalance before we determine the treatment plan. Now, before we start throwing everybody on hormone replacement therapy, patients need to be educated about potential benefits and risks. So when we look at the benefits, right, number 1 is symptom resolution. Patients often report improved quality of life, better sleep, more energy, sharper mood, regular cycles. Okay, this then translates into better relationships with family and friends, better work performance. We also see physical benefits, increased lean muscle mass, better recovery after workouts, muscle preservation throughout the years, fat loss. It helps maintain bone quality, okay, orthosurgeons. And it helps protect against bone loss and stimulates bone formation. On the other side, important things to consider, number 1 is cost, okay? Even if you qualify for hypogonadism, insurance doesn't typically cover a lot for testosterone. And I have never seen insurance cover for bioidentical hormones for women. And with replacement, most people are going to be on hormones for a very long time, if not for life. So we need to discuss cost right at the front. There's also potential risks. Some forms of testosterone, it's going to suppress FSH and LH hormones, okay? Which means men are going to see testicular shrinkage and their sperm count's going to go down to 0. Now, we try and combat that by also prescribing HCG alongside of it. But there's no guarantees when you come off that your sperm production is going to come back up, and men need to know that if they're wanting to start families. Additional risk is that if you're using synthetic estradiols, there's a possibility of increased risk of breast cancer. And we always grab a PSA because there is the risk of accelerated prostate cancer with testosterone use as well. And finally, we need to acknowledge the possible side effects. Number 1, increased risk of blood clots, okay? 2, gynecomastia. Men will convert their testosterone to estrogen, and if it becomes too much, they'll get nipple sensitivity, overly emotional, they start crying over Bambi, it's a whole thing. And even male pattern baldness, okay? And we're living in the Morgan Wallen mullet era right now, okay? So both men and women are upset about this one, okay? If there's one golden rule with hormones, it's this. Treatment starts with lifestyle, diet, sleep, exercise, stress, supplements, okay? All of these matter with or without pharmacological treatment. This is also preventative medicine. So when we do bring pharmacological treatment into play, the key is to match the right option to the right patient. Hormones come in a variety of formulations, delivery options. Each one has their own quirks, okay? Side effects, dosing, frequency, convenience. So how do we choose? In my practice, I only use bioidentical hormones. I find that you're going to have the best results with the least amount of side effects and the least risk, okay? For women, that means there's only one option for estradiol and progesterone. That makes it easy. For testosterone, there's a lot of different options. My go-to for most patients, unless they're trying to start a family in the next year, is testosterone cypionate. It's cost-effective, it's reliable, it works really well. But patients who are wanting to start a family, they're going to be better suited by using enclomiphene, okay, which is actually going to boost FSH and LH, and so their sperm production is actually going to go up. So at the end of the day, it's all about asking the right questions to find the right fit for the right person instead of a one-size-fits-all, okay? So let's take a look at a very common case study we have here. We have patient AD, a 38-year-old man who came in with extreme fatigue, okay? After prompting with my extremely detailed health history, because y'all men don't want to be out here letting us know what you're actually suffering with, we find that he has low libido, erectile dysfunction, trouble building muscle, increased abdominal fat, and he's been depressed and irritable, okay? His labs tell the story. We have insulin resistance, abnormal lipids, vitamin D deficiency, and low testosterone. Our approach here is going to be a threefold. First is lifestyle. He needs to stop drinking alcohol. He needs to improve his diet. He needs to start working on his sleep hygiene. And second, we're going to do supplements. We want vitamin D3 to improve the deficiencies, and then dihydroberberine to work on that insulin resistance. And then third is pharmacological. We're going to start testosterone cypionate and HCG twice a week. I require that patients follow up after starting therapy within 6 weeks. I want to make sure, is their dose right? Okay, I don't want their blood counts too thick, and I want to make sure their testosterone is going up and they're not suffering from negative side effects. I then have patients come back every 3 months to get labs drawn so that I can make sure those same things. So let's see what results we get after 6 weeks and after 18 weeks. Okay, at our 6-week follow-up, labs look good. Blood counts are in normal limits. Testosterone's going up. PSA looks just fine. Patient reports improvements in fatigue and erectile dysfunction. It's not a lot, but it's something. This is expected. It takes many years for your guys' testosterone levels to come down. I don't expect you to feel like you're in your 20s again after 6 weeks, okay? But by 18 weeks, we also see improvements with libido, irritability, depressive symptoms, abdominal fat reduction. Heck yeah, okay? And the patient did their part as well, right? They decreased alcohol intake. They increased their hydration. They increased their protein. Sleep hygiene, they're still working on, but this is a journey, and I'm not expecting everybody to make changes overnight, okay? They also started supplementation with vitamin D and dihydroberberine. So lab work, we observe elevation in red blood cells, hemoglobin, hematocrit, right? This is expected. All we're recommending is therapeutic phlebotomy, okay? It's gonna happen. They'll be just fine. But as you can see, this patient experienced meaningful symptomatic improvement, if not resolution, alongside positive metabolic changes. So overall, 18 weeks of treatment, this patient experienced increased quality of life. So my final thoughts on hormone replacement therapy. Aging doesn't have to suck. Often, our symptoms are just due to our hormones quitting on us, which is correctable. Hormone therapy isn't a one-size-fits-all. It should be tailored to each patient's goals, labs, and symptoms. Comprehensive care matters. Lifestyle, supplementation, and hormone therapy work best when they're all tackled together. With the right approach, we're not just adding years to life, we're adding life to years. And I love that for us. Thank you.